All right. Good morning. Good morning, guys. It is Friday, July 31st, 2020. And this morning, we're going to wrap up our series on family. This morning, we're going to talk about family values, what they are, if you have any, and if you don't have any, how to make them, how to create them. And it's going to be an interesting episode. Let's get started.
It is ultimately important for you to look at your goals, truly what you want to do in your life, and then look at the people who you spend the most time with in your life and figure out if that lines up.
All right. Good morning, everybody. What's happening? Bruce, Carla, good morning to you guys. Thanks for being here. Let's see who else is on here. I'm having a hard time seeing my wife is on here. Any rate, good morning to you guys. And, this morning I wanted to talk a little bit about family values, because I think that in today's day and age, there's not a whole lot that could be more important than having some family values, right? Than actually putting this stuff out into the world, so that you have an idea of what you want your family to stand for, and what, you want your kids to grow up believing, what you want everyone to think when they think about your family. And so we're going to talk a little bit about how to do that. First, I want to just again mention my wife's birthday was yesterday, so happy 40th birthday to my wife. I love you, babe. We had an awesome day. Took the morning off. Had to go visit a job site in the afternoon and do some stuff work related, but for the most part, spent the whole day. Had some cake last night with the family. Had my wife's sister over, so that's always fun, and just a great family day. So happy birthday, babe. I love you, and here's to 40 more, 40, maybe 80 more, right? So at any rate, let's jump into the family values conversation. So what are family values? So, we did this exercise as a company last week. And when we did the exercise, it really, really stood out to me that, man, how powerful this was. And I literally instantly thought, like, I'm gonna apply this, to our family. So what I want to do is to create that set of core values so that my children, know exactly what our family is going to stand for. What they will grow up to be will likely be in line with those core values, right? So I want to explain to you guys kind of how we did this as a company. And then I want to tell you how that can apply to your family. It's almost the identical same exercise. Basically is the same exact exercise. So, at first, let's talk about what are core values. So, when you're talking about company core values, the list that I pulled down off the internet to give you guys as an example is like, integrity, boldness, honesty, trust, accountability, commitment to customers, passion, fun, humility, taking ownership, constant improvement, leadership, diversity, innovation, all that stuff, right? Those are the things that, stand out that companies identify with, right? And so I think some of those traits would be transferable over to, what you want to create as family values. But when we started this exercise of how to create our company values, it was really, really cool kind of how they came together. And so I wanted to share that with you guys so that maybe you could do it for your company too. But for all intents and purposes this morning, we're talking about family values. So essentially what you're going to do is your wife, if you have children that are old enough, they could probably participate in this exercise too. But you're going to take 3 people in your life that you really, really admire, that you really look up to, that if you had those 3 people on your side, there's not a whole lot you couldn't accomplish, right? And you want to write those 3 names down, each you and your wife, you and your husband. And you take those 3 names and you transfer them over, and you start to write down all of the characteristics about those people that you really admire, that you think are the best traits of those people. And you come up with this long list, right, of all of these people. And you share, by the way, those people with each other so that you can understand, you know, possibly who they are. The other person is probably going to know some of them, right, or all of them. And you're going to start to understand why this person, you know, likes these people as you start going through this exercise, what they look up to, what things that these people possess. So as you write down those things, you put those things up on a list, we did it on a whiteboard at our meeting, but you could do it on just a piece of paper or something like that. And you take that whole list and you combine them. You write down all the traits from both of you that you would come up with. And you would come up with this list, and you start to look at that list. And so, you know, 2 of the things that kind of are similar on the list that I just read is integrity and honesty, right? Which one of those things is more important to you? Which word seems to identify more? And so what you're trying to do is to get that list down to like 3 to 7 core values that really, really identify what you want to be, what you stand for, who you are as a family or as a person, as an individual. And so as you work through that list and you start to, you know, have conversations, you know, is this a non-negotiable? Like, is this something that we absolutely have to have? Or maybe can it possibly not make the list? And so as you get down and you work through that list, you're going to start to come up with those things that you really, really identify with. And then what you want to do is you want to take that list and you start to look at each other and say to yourselves, you know, are these aspirations or are these real core values that we believe in and we live by? Because what you want is for that list to be something that you can live by, not something that you aspire to be, right? Something that is it is the true identity of your family and what you want to stand for. And so what you're going to do is kind of, you know, rate each other, say 1, 2, or 3. 1 being, you know, you probably don't do these things at all, or you don't stand for that at all. And 3 being, you're pretty exceptional at that particular item. So, and then you're going to look and you're going to say, okay, out of these values, which ones, and if you have too big of a list, maybe this is a way to kind of finalize the list or to take a second look at the list. But you look at that list and say, which of these values scored the strongest? So if you have, you know, fun, for example, and as a family, you know, you rate very high on fun, that's one that might be a keeper. If you're looking at something else and it doesn't rate very high, you know, you don't have a strong rating from the 2 of you, then maybe that thing doesn't make the list. I hope this makes sense to you guys. But the process in which you do this, I think at a minimum, will start some great conversation around, you know, what you want to stand for and what qualities you want to ingrain into your children, ingrain into your family and future generations. And I think there's nothing more important in today's world than having some intention behind what you want to stand for, you know. And so I wanted to cover that as kind of the last thing in this series about family is, you know, just have some intention, you know, stand for something. There's a quote that I heard when I was out visiting the Callaways. I see Mr. Callaway on here this morning, and they said, man, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And so when you think about your family and you think about, how you want your family to be identified, what you want them to stand for, what you want your family to be known for. Super important, guys, to do that with intention. Because if you do it with intention, you're going to raise little humans to have those qualities that you're talking about. And as they get older, they're going to teach their kids the same qualities and the same behavior and the same concept of standing for something, of having real values that make them feel part of something. And there is nothing more important than for your children to understand exactly who they are, who they aspire to be, and what their family stands for. So that is really it this morning. I wanted to share that exercise with you guys because I think that it was that powerful for me. And when I walked away from that, I instantly knew that it was something that I wanted to do in my own family because, I think it's also important, as Mr. Calloway said on Wednesday's show, is to really create that alignment between you and your spouse, if you have that. And if you are not married or you don't have a family, this is something that I would do for yourself personally. What do you actually want to stand for? Write down those 3 people, write down the qualities that they have that you admire, and still go through the exercise. What is it that you want to stand for in your own life? What values do you want to be known for having? Think about that. I can't think of anything more important than to know exactly what you want to stand for and to live with intention. When it comes to making decisions in your life, that should be pretty far up there on the list, right? Just below God and family, I would think that living with intention would make the list somewhere close to there. So with that said, guys, it is a Friday. So as we close out the show here every week, we talk about not going out like a mouse, but going out like a lion. It's Friday. Make sure you make it a great day. You get one July 31st, 2020 to live. Make sure that it is a great, great, great Friday. Make it one to remember. What can you do today that will make this a Friday to remember? Generally, it is working your tail off, putting other people first, lending a hand, saying hello to somebody, holding the door, doing the things that this world needs desperately right now. Setting a good example. That's really the best thing that we can all do, is to be a light in the world at a time where so many people need it. So I am wishing you guys an amazing Friday. I will see you back here Monday morning, same place, same time, right here on Morning Perspective. Thanks for being here, guys. I love you guys.